Hey, it's Kevin DeWitt here. In this video, I'm going to talk to you about mix analysis. Now, in my training membership, I do lots of little videos of me doing mix analysis of popular songs. Unfortunately, it's just me talking because of copyright issues. Can't include the songs, but the point is that you can follow along and I pick out all the details that I hear in the songs and all the things that are worth noting. And if I can pick out certain techniques, then I'll explain that as well. Now, the whole point of those mix analysis is mainly for you to learn new techniques, listen to songs, hear how they're made, what builds them up to what they are, what's popular at the moment, what certain techniques or sounds do you go for different styles and different genres, and then starting to analyze and working out how can you recreate those similar things in your songs, and not necessarily copy them, but copy some things or adapt some things to suit your song better, and just learn various techniques. And the best thing to do is to obviously mimic or learn from the people that are doing this professionally and making lots of money in the charts, etc. And there's no better way to do that than to actually listen to their work and analyze it and try and work things out. So this video is to complement some details here in an article on my website. Plus, it also comes with a free PDF download that you can grab and some worksheets that you can grab as well to allow you to fill them out when you're doing your mix analysis, if that's what you choose to do. Now, there's many ways to do this. This is just a recommended way that I'm going with, and obviously putting some structure to it as opposed to just sitting there listening to music and trying to work things out. Now, if you read the entire article and the PDF, you'll get a very detailed explanation of how this all works. So to give you a brief overview of what's in the article, to save you necessarily reading it if you don't wish to, I talk about the ways of listening to music. So, the normal way to listen to music is obviously not to listen to the details. It's just to listen to the overall song, enjoy it, move along with it, whatever you want to get out of it. There's various things that people get out of music when they're doing it, and for different times as well. You might listen to music to help you sleep at certain times or meditate. You might listen to music to pump you up at the gym. You may listen to music because you're sad or depressed and you want something to either cheer you up or you want something to depress you and make you cry. Whatever is going on in your life, music is usually a part of most people's lives. And you need to think about that when you are creating your own music as well, because you want to get those emotions from people. You want everyone to be able to get something out of your song, whatever it is. So you need to sort of work out what is that you're trying to go for and try and achieve it, and it doesn't have to be a particular emotion. It can just be as simple as, I want people to dance. So you're going to have a great beat that everybody's going to want to just get up and dance to and can't help themselves. Now, from our perspective, though, if you're looking at this from a mix engineer or a producer or a mastering engineer, we're going to listen to songs at another level again. You still want to be able to enjoy songs in their natural state, just for pure enjoyment. But as you start to analyze songs and get into detail, sometimes that can be hard to do, and sometimes you've got to try and turn your brain off, because you're naturally going to start to analyze songs every time you hear them. And unfortunately, sometimes that can ruin songs for you, and not necessarily because you hear things that are wrong or done badly, but you can't hear the song for what it was before, and all you hear is the detail, and you lose the emotion and the effect of a song. So I just warn you, that can be the case, and a lot of engineers get to that point, but you need to try and get to a position where you can do both. You can listen to the details, but also pull yourself back and just enjoy the song for what it is. Some of the most enjoyable songs out there can be poorly recorded, have lots of mistakes, but the emotions there, the feelings there, the purpose of the song is there. Other songs can be absolutely note perfect, recorded perfectly, have everything done perfectly, and nobody likes the song because there's just nothing to it. It's very clinical. It's just not enjoyable. So in this analysis, there's three. I'm going to break it up into 3 sections. Okay. Now you can also combine all of these 3 sections into one. You can combine 2 of the sections. It all depends on what you're trying to get out of it. Okay. So we're going to break it up as in there's a production analysis, a mixing analysis, and a mastering analysis. And as I said, you can combine all 3 together. You can do them individually. You can combine a couple if you want to look at production and mixing together, or mixing and mastering together. However you want to do it, all depends on what you're trying to get out of it. Now, each one of those has some gray areas because we don't necessarily know exactly what was done when, and it's pretty much impossible to know that unless you are part of the process or you have access to the people that were. And what I mean by that is, okay, for instance, let's explain the production side of things. So with the production side of analysis, you're going to listen to the song. You're going to listen to how the song's made up, what the structure of the song is, how is it structured? Intro, verse, bridge, chorus, 3 choruses, 2 verses. Is there a pre-chorus? What goes before what? Does it build up? Is it quiet at the start, builds up? It's sort of like the production side. What instruments are in there? Where are they sort of placed in the stereo field? What's the sound they've got? What genre have we gone for? What style have we gone for? Is it a vintage sounding thing? Is it a modern sounding song? You might even go into more detail and work out the tempo, the chord structure, the key of the song. Okay. So you can analyze the song at a production level down to the nth degree that you could basically know exactly how it was written, how it was done. But let's say, for instance, you said, okay, in the production, they created a kick that sounded like round, bit muffled, sits back in the mix, not very prominent, doesn't have a very clicky sound, more thumpy. And you might go, okay, well, that was a production decision. But the thing is, it could actually be a mixing decision because that kick may have actually got to the mix engineer totally different. And the mix engineer replaced the kick, or he just EQ'd the kick and compressed it to make it sound totally different. Or vice versa. You might decide that in the mixing analysis that you picked out that the kick is round, not very clicky, thumpy, etc., exactly the same, but that decision may not have been made by the mixing engineer. That may have been done by the producer, and that's how they actually recorded the kick, and the mixing engineer didn't do anything. And the same thing applies to mastering. You could decide that at the mastering level, they decided to have the song very crushed, not very much dynamics, extremely wide in the stereo field. Again, that could have been done at the mixing level. It may not have been done at the mastering level, or it may have been done at the mastering level and not at the mixing level. So there's gray areas between every single one of these. So even though you can do them individually, you are making some assumptions when you do this analysis. So when you do these analysis, unlike potentially just sitting there listening to music for enjoyment, you need to make sure a few things are done. And one is you want to be 100% comfortable. Okay, you need to be focused, brain definitely on the task. Okay, you're not sitting there looking at your phone, reading Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, whatever. None of that, because if you're doing any of that, you're not really paying attention to the song. So that's the sort of thing you may do while you're still enjoying music, sitting on the couch listening to music, but you're still reading your phone and you're getting the best of both worlds. When you're doing a detailed analysis, you can't do that. So you need to turn all those distractions off or put them away, whatever. Concentrate on the song. Another technique that you can use, which really will focus your ears on the task and your brain on the task, is you might want to close your eyes and just really take away all of your other senses or most of your other senses and just let your ears concentrate. When you're not distracted by your eyes, you're not seeing anything, you're not seeing any meters move or anything flashing on your computer screen, whatever you're doing to listen to the music, it'll really focus your ears and your brain on listening to the details. So as I said, there is some worksheets that you can use to document these analysis as you're going, and you can sit there and you can write down notes as you're listening, going backwards and forwards. You may have to pause, you may have to skip back to just go over bits over and over again to make sure that you're getting all the elements that you want to hear out of it. And you want to be jotting those down on the worksheets. Now, obviously, if you have closed your eyes to listen, you will need to open your eyes to write unless you've worked out how to write with your eyes closed, but that might be a little bit hard because you won't be able to feel where the paper is. So obviously open your eyes for a period of time to write, but then you can close your eyes again to listen to the parts again. Now, the other thing I like to do, as I'm wearing now, is I like to use headphones, and usually good quality set of stereo headphones, studio style that's doesn't necessarily overemphasize anything, like it doesn't create massive amounts of over-the-top bass or anything like that, and they're very crystal clear. They're going to give you really great definition. You're going to hear all the little bits, all the little effects and everything like that, as much detail as you can hear into your headphones. And the other reason for the headphones is, as opposed to say speakers, is that the sounds are all sitting right at your ears. The stereo field is exaggerated, so it's very easy to pick out parts from your left and right ear, which sitting back from speakers sometimes can be blurred because they can start to mesh back into the center, even though it might come out of one side or the other. Especially if your room's not perfectly tuned as well, that can throw your balance off. Plus, you can hear very, very minute details when you've got headphones on because you can really focus in. Like I said, close your eyes, focus in, block out some of the louder noises that are hitting your ears and hear the little bits. And it's because they're right at your ear there. If they're in speakers, you may just get lost. And you may be hearing things and thinking you're hearing things, but it could be distractions in your room. It could be cracks in your walls that are creaking and floorboards creaking, whatever else, and they're not actually in the song. Now, there's actually a couple of approaches to each of these as well. So not only are you broken up into the production, mixing and mastering, but you can also do, well, I've decided you could do a quick version or a detailed version. So both of them are done in the same way. You still listen to the entire song, you still go through the detail. But for the quick version, what we're doing is we're mainly listening. We're not doing any of the extra things. So production, we're not going to necessarily sit there and work out the tempo or the key or the chord structure of the song. We're just going to hear the overall thing. And what you're going to do is concentrate and pick out 3 instruments or 3 main parts that you determine to be the main parts in each section. So in the verse, pick out 3, chorus, pick out 3. Then the repeats of those. So in a repeat verse, generally over a song, they will build up or make slight changes between, say, verse 1 and verse 2. So what we want to do with our 3 parts in that one is pick out the differences. So we know that verse 1, say, has drums, guitar, and a vocal. So when we hear verse 2, what we want to pick out of that is there's no point picking out those 3 same elements. So this one, we're going to pick out what's changed, what's different. Oh, we've added a piano now to this verse, or we've removed the drums and we've gone down to just guitar and vocal. So we want to pick out the differences to the repeat sections. So in the detailed one, what you're doing is now you're going to the absolute maximum detail. Okay, so there's really no limits. We're not setting 3 instruments. We're going to actually sit there and document every element that we can hear in the song in every section. Now, again, with the repeat parts, no point writing down the same instruments that are in the repeat parts. We want to write down the changes, what's been removed, what's been added, that sort of stuff. But we're doing all of the items now, or as much as you can pick out and as much as you can write on the sheet. And there's some extra levels we can go to as well if you want to go even further. As I said, with production, you could sit there and work out the tempo. And if you're going to do that, I suggest the easiest way is get a metronome app on your phone with a tap tempo feature in it, and just sit there and tap along to the beat to work out the tempo. If you want to work out the key and the chord structure of the song, then you're probably going to need to pull up an instrument and actually sit there and work it out, or get onto Google and find some sheet music for the song to work that out. In the mixing side, you're going to want, if you want to go extra, is to pull up your DAW or some other standalone piece of software, like I'm going to show you in iZotope Ozone 8, and bring your song in there and start using some tools like EQ and that to start to do low pass filters and things like that so you can analyze it. The mastering process really, because of what you need to work out in mastering and what you can work out for the mastering section, there really isn't a quick approach. There is just the one approach. And the reason for that is because with the mastering, you're going to listen to the entire song and you're trying to work out the dynamic range, the feel, the sound, the frequency response. After that, you're really looking at values like peak, LUFS, loudness, dynamic range, stuff like that. And that's stuff that you need to use tools to do. And if you took those away because you wanted to do a quick one, then there really wouldn't be much to listen to other than to listen to the song and just say, okay, it sounds great and the frequencies are balanced. So really with mastering, you need to do the tools part regardless. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly show you an example of these and some of the things you could do, and how I would go about each of the sections. And as I said, you could combine all 3 sections together or 2 of them. I generally will all the time pretty much, because most of the time I'm analyzing mixing, but I'm also inherently analyzing production, because when I'm doing the mixing analysis, I'm picking out instruments and parts and the structure and how the song builds up and sounds anyway. So I'm always sort of doing production and mixing at the same time. The only thing is I don't generally go to the level of working out the tempo, the key and the chords, because I'm not too fussed about that. I'm not trying to produce my own music much. That's not my goal. My goal is mixing, but I am picking out a lot of the production stuff anyway as I'm doing it. And the mastering side of things, again, I can do that as well, but you need to use tools to do that. So I'm going to show you each step of those just quickly. To avoid any copyright issues, I'm doing it with my own music. So if you don't like it, I'm sorry about that, but it just saves me having to worry about playing popular songs for any sort of copyright issues. So we'll go through that now. I'll show you the screen. As I said, I'm going to do it in Ozone 8. You can do it in any DAW, whatever you want, whatever you've got your hands on that has the tools that you need to get the detail you want out of it. So let's go and check it out.